EuRoC stands for European Robotics Challenges. This is a research project which was funded under the 7th Framework Programme by the European Commission. The project started in January 2014 and it will end in June 2018. What is EuRoC? EuRoC is built around the concept of 3 challenges. The first challenge is the Reconfigurable interactive manufacturing cell. The second challenge is shop floor logistics and manipulation, and the third challenge is plant inspection and servicing. The actual challenge was run through 3 different stages. In the first stage, we had a so-called qualifying stage, in which any team could apply, and there was a sort of simulation contest, and the best 45 teams were advanced to the second stage. The second stage was the crucial moment of the overall research project. Why is that? Because we organized a brokerage event which took place in Gatwick, London in December 2014, and this was the time where we carried out the so-called matchmaking. On one hand, we had the 45 best research teams that advanced from the first stage, and on the other side we had all the stakeholders in the so-called value chains. So those are the technology providers, the system integrators and the end users. So during this 2-day event there was a sort of dating among the best qualified team that advanced from the simulation and all the experts that could provide the technology to carry out the experiments. Some teams were formed where the partners in the mini consortium, the teams, they didn't know each other. So thanks to this matchmaking opportunity, they had a unique opportunity to really work together and write a research proposal. So the research proposals were submitted and the best 15 were chosen to advance to the second stage, so 5 for each challenge. And the nice thing is that each team could count on a financial support of up to €375,000 for 18 months of work. The experiments that were being carried out in the second stage by the 15 teams that were admitted were carried out by 3 platform hosts. The first platform was at IPA Fraunhofer in Stuttgart for the first challenge. The second host was at DLR in Oberpfaffenhofen for the second challenge. And the third one was at ETH in Zurich for the third challenge.
I am part of the EuRoC Challenge 1 host team. Within this challenge, we were focused on basically assembly technologies with particular focus on flexibility of the solution. And the other one was on human-robot collaboration as a possible solution for flexibility again.
For that, we had the teams for several weeks in our lab environment and observed how they solved, on the one hand, our benchmark tasks, which we posed for them, and on the other hand, the tasks which they selected themselves.
And we were the hosts for Challenge 3 of EuRoC.
During the second stage, the teams worked first on some benchmarking task. So each team was asked to carry out the same kind of task. And then there was a kind of very interesting experiment, a freestyle. So each team were carrying out some task at their best of their performance.
And in the second part of the stage 2, the teams could show something they decided for themselves.
And this was the so-called showcase, in which the use case was emulated in the lab. Then there was some experts again that were involved into the evaluation.
And then not us as the host, but external experts selected only 2 teams which should go to the final stage of the project, the so-called field tests.
In which the experiment was taken from the lab to the end user site. And this was very important because all the experiments, the 15 and later the 6 selected ones, are very much, I dare to say, use case driven. A crucial moment for the experts was how to evaluate the performance of one experiment versus the other.
So for us as a host, I think the most difficult stages were always the stages where we selected criteria how the team should be evaluated.
We had to find some kind of unified metrics to compare the performance and the results of one experiment versus the other. Thanks to EuRoC, there was a considerable budget of €7 million, which was available to the challengers in the second and the third stage. And this money was quite well spent, because the EuRoC project came after 2 decades of success stories of technology transfer from academia to industry. Because in Europe we have a peculiar situation in which the excellence is not only in the research labs, in the academia and in the research center, but it's also for the big industry. We have like top robot manufacturers, but it's also with the system integrators, with the end users. And many of these companies are not big companies, are small and medium enterprises or mid-caps.
Our vision is to deploy a very flexible and adaptable collaborative robot platform so that is able to support the human at the center of any application in industrial environment.
The vision that we had at the beginning of the project, that is the possibility to create a robotic assistant to operator working close to flexible manufacturing system, is still very valid, proved to be valid and possible, and we will invest on it.
And the focus of the EuRoC project was try to integrate the robot and the human all together.
When the robot is doing some operations, the human can move and execute other tasks, like quality control or machine handling, while the robot does its task.
Most importantly, humans in this project and in the application that we selected all along the project are a key player, because they have a lot of different things they need to do, so their skills are important. A lot of things that they like to do or they might do, so what they prefer to do, so we have the customization of their tasks, and what they could do, not exactly expectedly, so we have the safety, errors, misunderstandings, quality checks or deviations. So we have a full range of human behavior that has to be combined with robot skills and robot behaviors. This was the major challenge in bringing basic research, applied research down to the shop floor.
I'm in business since a long time. I started my activity in the 80s, when the promise of flexible manufacturing systems was spectacular. We imagine factories, shop floors, completely without light, because no people was there. Only robots, only automation. And this failed. Failed because manufacturing and special machining is a very complex activity. When you try to modify the matter, a lot of things can happen. And so you need inside problem solver. And the best problem solver that we have are human.
And this is a very actual moment for the age of human-robot collaboration, because now we are in the Horizon 2020 framework program of the European Commission, and a big challenge is the so-called Industry 4.0, the digitization.
The problem was that they had this mounting of the ceiling on car doors with these plastic clips, which is not easily automatable in a traditional way. And so we thought this might be a very interesting challenge to tackle this with robots and automating something nobody has ever automated before. First of all, we have our cut-to-path tool, where we have a CAD model of the car door, and then with a pen and a tablet we just draw or we mark the holes that have to be inserted with the ceiling pins by hand, and then just export them into paths, which are then directly executable by the robot. Handling the ceiling, it was so hard. We developed, I think, around 30 different prototypes for the gripper, and when in the end we finally were able to really hold that ceiling really tight and not losing it anymore, that was a really nice feeling to be able to really control this challenge now and have this done.
Some of the applications, some of the key features will very soon have an impact. For example, human-robot collaboration, this very open workspace. We can actually use that maybe in 1 or 2 years.
The combination of robots and humans is a really interesting field. I think that this will get really more important in the future, and systems such as the one that we developed will be one step towards this direction, so that robots and humans are not separated through fences anymore, but really they can work together in the meaning of that they share some workspace, that they do not operate together but share the same space, up to really that they operate together, that they lift things together or hand over things to each other. I think that this will come, and it's a really important field.
Four years ago, more or less, we were thinking about the automatization of the picking process, because it's the unique process that we don't have automatized, and we were thinking about how to do it, and then we realized that EuRoC could be a good opportunity.
We prepare a preliminary scenario in which a robot co-worked with people in a pick and place scenario.
The point is that you want to implement scientific and advanced things for industry. So industry is very practical. So you don't have room for doing very creative things. Things has to work every day, 24 hours per day, all the year.
Basically, the first idea came from the talks we had in London with IMA.
So the idea is to pass from the delivery just of one machine to have the capability to deliver system.
And this problem was to be able to use a robotic platform, a robotic platform, in an environment where humans could also be together with the robots. Robotics is a very, very wide area of application, which means that you cannot call robotics as a scientific area. In fact, robotics joins dozens of different scientific areas, which means that no research team can work on all of them. In our case, we are focused on things such as autonomous mobile robots, on SLAM, which means simultaneous location and mapping, on sensor fusion, on deep learning, on image vision or computer vision, let's say. And those are some of the targets that we want to go beyond in this kind of project. But it's also important to say that this is not a pure research project. This is a project that seeks for a practical solution that can be applied in the real industry.
We started to work with Airbus in the definition of use case in the factory. Later, we went to the development of algorithms and techniques and their integration.
Normally, the drone is using for introduce one camera. In this case, it gives at the drone more possibility to introduce other operation in the industry activity.
We have developed two missions, okay? In one of them, the Airbus worker just asks for a material. That command reaches the robot, in which the material is put into the cargo of the robot, and then the robot autonomously just goes and delivers the material to the specific worker that asked that, okay? And the other one is a case in which
The robot identifies and locates the missing tools that have been missed by error, of course, by the worker.
This has been performed using a specific set of radio sensors. One of them located on board the drone, and the others located in these pieces that needs to be found.
I think this project could open a new field, could potentially open a new field in the use of aerial robots for manufacturing and for in close cooperation with humans.
ARCO EuRoC is the first application of aerial robotics in manufacturing processes. So indoor manufacturing processes by using aerial robots is quite new, and this was a new result coming from EuRoC.
In general, we're using the drone for mapping tasks. We're creating 3D models, orthophotos, and also we inspect civil infrastructure. And in this project, we try to develop a new system that we can fly without GPS. We have climbing teams who climbs around these bridges. This takes a lot of time. It's also very dangerous. And with these drones, we want to reduce this time, and that we are more accurate also, and that we can do it in a systematic way. And especially because around the world we have thousands of bridges, and every year, let's say every month, they have to be inspected.
Well, the idea of this project is that once you did the inspection once you build the map and then define the waypoints, it should be very easy to repeat those inspections over and over again. And with that, the hope is that they can reduce the time that it takes to inspect the bridges and also reduce the costs that it takes to inspect the bridges.
So the 6 finalist teams have been invited to come to Napoli, and they presented their results, and there was a board of judges with experts coming from different fields, from research, from industry, from technology transfer. There is also an expert of ethical, legal and societal issues. There is also journalists involved in the board of judges, and they are here and just to listen to the presentation after ranking the reports of the team and select the EuRoC winner. There is no monetary prize involved, but obviously it's a sort of prestigious to have been selected to be the winner among the 6 finalists. The EuRoC winner, it's the team FLA²IR. So the FLA² team has been chosen to be the EuRoC winner, and there will be a further moment in the 3rd stage because all the 6 finalists have been invited to showcase and to demonstrate the results in a special booth, in a special dedicated EuRoC booth at the Automatica Fair in Munich.
Job to derive from the system what.
And there is no better choice than exhibiting the results of this project at the most important industrial appointment here.
I want to thank very much the EuRoC team, Mr. Siciliano, you, Mr. van der Meer, for your support and your help during the whole 4 years in order to get that done in the way as it is.
And I'm looking forward really to get good ideas for the products of the future, for us, for Europe.
Our main purpose is to use the European taxpayers' money at the best to achieve technology transfer.
This is one of the type of projects that we appreciate a lot because we see, as you explained, that this is a model which is beneficial compared to some of the others?
I would say that it's the integral of 20 years of work of technology transfer from academic and research lab to industry.
Difficulties arise and you have to be able to get over them, and especially in a specific challenging project like this, when you are competing with really top teams, research team in Europe.
It's like a race, and I think it's a nice challenge, because then we get very good developments and nice things which comes out, and also that's in the European part that we can work with other universities all over Europe, for example.
The formula of the project, I must say, is very effective for putting the right amount of pressure with quantifiable objectives, always being check marks for results.
So EuRoC just came at the right time, in which this technology transfer becomes a sort of, I would say, a virtuous circle, because all the stakeholders in the value chain have been involved.
So in my opinion, EuRoC is actually an example for successful technology transfer.
The feeling is that the teamwork is very important in this kind of projects.
I think, especially for Europe, we need to be highly sophisticated in technologies, and therefore we need to use new approaches.
So a lot of the challengers have now really an agreement with the end users that, okay, EuRoC is finished, but we will continue our collaboration with you until at the end you have a viable product or service.
At the end of the day, after 4 years and a half of work, I think that EuRoC project has been quite successful in achieving this on a systematic scale through the stages of competitions. And so we try to get the best out of the challenge concept to really boost and enhance the competitiveness and try to get the best results of technology transfer on a kind of pervasive scale involving all the actors in the value chain of European robotics.